Hello, my friend, and good day to you, or good evening. This is Brandon Tilt on healing. Yeah. Loving life right now. Especially in this moment. I'm sitting in the forest and I'm surrounded by birds. I can smell burning firewood. I'm not burning a fire right now, but I feel like I should be. But I'm watching the trees gradually turn that deep reddish green, if that makes sense, like that hue of almost like brown as the sun sets over the mountains and the treetops. It's a good vibe. It's a beautiful view. I'm feeling very blessed where I'm at with my life and my practice and my healing process, which has been honestly quite difficult at times. And I know it's not a steady progression up a mountain as much as it's just kind of like you ever see that video of the man who's going up the staircase and then he just jumps right off and falls onto the trampoline and sprung right back up into the stair, maybe a couple steps down, and then keeps kind of stumbling back up the staircase, and then down he goes again, and just like keep on falling. You keep on falling and then bouncing back up, and each time you're a little bit higher up, but then of course the fall is a little bit more treacherous. But thankfully it's a trampoline, not a pit of rocks, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's something like that. It's been feeling something like that. And it's a very humbling journey. There's this thing that seems to happen when I record podcasts in the forest, where a helicopter or an airplane flies by. At first I'm like, dang, will these interruptions ever stop, right? And, I've come to feel like patience is really one of the best ways to engage with life, like just knowing that things will pass, whether they're disruptions or difficult emotions or challenging circumstances in life, or one might say chapters or phases of a relationship, right? So just as when an airplane comes through, I take that moment to just breathe and wait for it to fly by and just pick up where I left off, I feel like that same philosophy can be really helpful in a lot of situations in life. And, sometimes problems are much louder. The airplane's much louder than others. It's more disruptive to our inner harmony or our attention or our focus. Sometimes they fly by very slowly. The helicopters seem to be much slower at rattling by than the airplanes. But at the same time, I feel committed to that patience, and I feel Like that's been a recurring lesson for me. I suppose another thing about the whole airplane thing is it's about perspective. Thinking about, darn, that airplane's annoying, you know? I wish it would just go away. But then at the same time, it's a beautiful day. It's an absolutely gorgeous day, and I can only imagine what kind of breathtaking view that airplane gets to experience and what kind of spiritual journey they're on as they fly by, even if it's making noise for me. And, you know, it's like there is a kind of shift in perspective from, I guess, frustration and feeling intruded upon to appreciation, right? Maybe even a little bit more empathy, right? And yeah, that feels like another one where it's like the more disruptive interruptions in our life, it might be even more difficult to shift our perspective, right? It might be even harder to see it from a lens of empathy. But if we might get curious about, okay, it's annoying to me. I wonder what it's like for them. I wonder if they're living a full life, and I wonder if this is one of their hardest days. I wonder if, you know, can you even really truly understand what they're going through, right? What's kind of leading them to act in such a way that it's disrupting your life in this dramatic of a fashion? It can be challenging to really truly know, but just having a bit more of an openness to whatever it is we're requiring to be patient around, what might also be going on that we can offer more understanding for. Yeah, I feel called to reflect on this topic of sitting in discomfort, which sometimes it's like when you're sitting in meditation and you're trying to just like stand still, stay in your kind of meditation pose, or that kind of like gentle awareness that you're trying to bring, but not quite thinking thoughts. But I would say there are more intense versions of this kind of discomfort. Maybe it's, for you, it's sitting on a SkyTrain in transit, or maybe it's when you're in a sauna and the heat is just pushing your edge. Or maybe you work a job where you're required to be very patient with strangers who just seem to vent, and you know, you're on the receiving end of that a lot. Or my most difficult example of this is sitting in ceremony, whether it's sweat lodge, which is a great example, or I would say ayahuasca ceremonies are much more challenging for me. When the universe, maybe it's the ayahuasca spirit, or maybe it's the universe, maybe it's both, it's trying to present something to you, and you're not having it, not even a little bit. You're not able to sit in that discomfort, or maybe that discomfort just keeps getting worse or maybe it's physical pain and it's really wreaking havoc on your body and you're just writhing. Or perhaps it's for me at least, it's more emotional. Or it's a combination of physical and emotional, but it's primarily really challenging thoughts or feelings that come to the surface in ceremony or when I'm unable to sleep. And if I distract myself through, let's just say, talking about it or going to another room and doing something or looking at a screen or whatever, some of these things can genuinely be soothing too, but I mean, just, I don't allow myself to just be in it and in a sense tolerate the pain or the suffering. Kind of reminds me of cold plunging, actually. I don't know how many of you have been to a icy river or a cold plunge pool in like a sauna or something in a facility where they have cold plunges. Yeah, there's something beautiful about that intentional suffering. I don't know. I over time get weary and really just dread it, and the resistance builds, but I really can deeply appreciate sitting in discomfort and the lessons that come from that, and just how truly valuable it becomes when you can develop that tolerance for discomfort. Physical becomes emotional, emotional becomes physical. Right? You develop tolerance for discomfort in one of those areas and it usually transfers over to the other. And I think it's so important when we're in therapy or something similar to therapy, but let's just say, for example, in therapy, when something comes up and it's the area you're not having any of it. You don't want to focus on that topic, or it brings up all these sensations in your body. Maybe your nervous system goes into fight or flight. Maybe you start to feel kind of attacked almost, right? Maybe there's shame or anger, whether it's from the therapist or whether it's from just feeling the experience. And there's a tendency to want to tap out. And hey, by the way, there's nothing wrong with titrating or taking things one step at a time and, wading in to that discomfort. But I've been learning through IFS and through going to therapy and various other practices that I'm able to successfully move through pain, especially when I feel like I've prepared myself mentally, but I feel like I just surprise myself how much I can really tolerate things that at one point in my life might have felt like torture. I guess that's the best way to put it. Like, there's so many things that I was so afraid of, and maybe on some level I'm still afraid of, but like historically the fear was so paralyzing, there was just no chance. And I think ayahuasca is a great example of that, but many things, there's just no chance. There's no way I'm having that conversation with that person. There's no way I'm going into that topic and bringing it up in therapy. There's no way I'm going to do that thing for that period of time. It's just, I'm not interested in that level of suffering or, whatever, A, B, and C. There's all the excuses I could make up. But like, yeah, I just, I kind of discounted my capacity to show up in those experiences for much of my life. And I feel like true growth is when you're able to, well, acknowledge that you have more of a capacity than you thought, or of course you've developed that capacity over time and now you can trust yourself to show up differently. So, the experience of fear or anxiety is the same response in the body as excitement, but the difference is one's capacity, or some say how prepared you are, or your mentality, your mindset. But I would say once you feel like you can trust yourself in an experience, regardless of what that experience is, your nervous system shows up, or let's just say your nervous system responds to that experience quite differently. And this is how we as humanity have historically and continue to adapt and grow to meet the dangers and the risks and the demands of a society that's just so unpredictable, and in some cases is so dangerous, right? There are various threats. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, our capacity to rewire, right? Positive neuroplasticity, our capacity to adapt, and for our nervous system to become more resilient, and for our body to grow, and for us to train certain, muscle groups, or, A, B, and C. All of our body becomes acclimated to taking on new situations that at one point might have felt overwhelming, but we're able to grow and expand and become ready for taking on whatever crap life throws at us, you know what I mean? So I guess this was more of a topic on, this conversation, this reflection, this monologue was more of a reflection space around growth and, sitting in discomfort. I believe it's a very important practice. Like if you're sitting down with yourself in silence or in a meditation, or maybe you're doing the cold plunge, maybe you're just doing one thing that you just really don't like to do, but just you're doing it consistently every day or every couple days. You're retraining your brain. Some might say you're changing your timeline. You're breaking the intergenerational curse or trauma, right? The cycle. You're breaking the cycle. And we're capable of these things. As a species, as a collective, we're much more capable. And I have hope. I have hope for humanity. I have hope for you, the listener, to grow and heal whatever it is you're working through, and that each day you're able to show up just a little bit differently, and you're able to maybe just show up with more love and more compassion and more curiosity and more clarity. Those are those C words we talk about in IFS. Those are those self-energy qualities. Yeah, so thanks for joining me. Here comes another airplane. Thanks for joining me in the forest. And I hope you have a great rest of your afternoon or evening. If it's evening, have a wonderful sleep. And yeah, take care for now. Bye.
Are you making space for your inner healer to blossom? Are you making space for that self, that deeper sense of self to shine through? If you'd be interested in working with me one-on-one, please reach out through featheroflightcounseling@outlook.com. Aside from that, heartfelt thank you for being a friend. Take care.